hopping on just a minute or two early here, give everybody a chance to jump in so that we can get started on today's astrological preview for the coming week. Welcome to Astrology Insights, Astro Insights at Rose Tarot and Astrology. I am your host, Mel Rose, and we'll get started in just a minute here. After we get started, after we do the week ahead in astrology, we're going to also do a tarot card reading. So come for the astrology, stay for the tarot card reading at the end, and we'll do a reading that sort of reflects how we can best manage as we go through this coming week. What is the time right now? It's 10:59, so I'm going to give us just another minute before I get started, but thank you for being here, for those of you who are already here. Okay, friends, hi, happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to Astro Insights. I am your host, Melanie Rose. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking in on your regular current astrology. As you know, as above, so below. And that means that we look to the stars. We look to the way the planets move across the backdrop of the stars. And we have been doing so for millions of years. To get a sense of what kind of energies might be reflected down here on Earth. And with that information, we hope to better navigate our own lives with more peace and prosperity and safety and love and all of that good stuff. So that's how I use astrology, and I'm so happy that you're here with me on this journey. Today, we start the week with the moon in Cancer. So the moon is right at home in Cancer. This is very much a home kind of vibration. It's wanting to be in our home space, wanting to nurture and nourish ourselves and those people that we keep close, maybe even trying to nurture and nourish our home space a little bit, taking care of our bodies and, again, our loved ones. And as we come into this week with the moon in Cancer, Mercury goes retrograde today. It goes retrograde in Sagittarius, and it is going to back up into Scorpio eventually. But listen, Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius this time, it's going to really not move very much for a few days. And since Mercury is all about the way we communicate, the way we plan, the way we collaborate with others, and even, the way we travel around from place to place, taking care of our routine things. When Mercury goes retrograde, and especially when it's holding still, it might just seem as though we hit a wall with those things, like we're not communicating well, or the communications we're making aren't coming across, or, we're getting mixed signals from other people, or the plans have to change, the plans get changed, or the errands that we had to run become multiplied somehow, or we're not able to get the things done that we want to get done, all right? So all that basic day-to-day coordination stuff can feel like it hits a bit of a wall, can feel like it begins to stagnate at this time. But that is really, I want you to see that. When you feel that frustration because you can't get done what you had planned to get done, or you can't quite get across what you had planned to get across, I want you to remember that is your reminder to slow down. Take your time, follow through, go ahead and finish up some things that you have not completed so that you can make the new starts that you're going to be able to make again in another couple of weeks. Mercury is retrograde for 3 weeks, and then it'll be in its post-retrograde shadow for about a week and a half. So really, as we get to the end of this year and the new year, Mercury will be going forward again, and we'll be able to we'll have a lot more facility with our words and our ability to communicate, express what we need to communicate, plan what we need to plan, that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, in the next 3, 4, or 5 weeks, expect a little bit of bumpiness, expect mix-ups in communication, mix-ups with your technology that you use to communicate, and expect to just have to slow down and take your time. Now is not a good time over the next few weeks to commit to anything long term. Now is not a good time to sign a contract. Excuse me. And some of us will wind up making agreements, signing contracts during Mercury retrograde. And I just want to remind you, again, take your time, slow down, make sure you read the fine print, make sure you dot the I's and cross the T's, okay? Because something is going to change about it when you get out of Mercury retrograde, okay? So just be aware of that. So that's where we're at today, Sunday. The moon is in Cancer. The sun is in Scorpio, and Mercury just went retrograde in Sagittarius, and I'm clearly struggling a little bit with my words right now, so I'm feeling that vibration. Tomorrow is Tuesday. No, tomorrow is Monday. Excuse me. And tomorrow, the moon moves on into Leo, and so our whole vibe, our personal home life vibe becomes, or our private experience becomes more about expressing self-expression. So that's interesting for it to come in right after Mercury goes retrograde, because this is self-expression under Mercury retrograde, which means I'm thinking about how I have to get my point across. I'm thinking about how do I express myself in ways that can be received, because not all of them are going to be received very well. So the moon moves into Leo. It makes several other aspects to planets that are in the beginnings of their signs right now. So it can be a kind of emotional day. It can be kind of up and down. It is definitely about, like, how do I do what I want to do? How do I say what I want to say? How do I get across the point that I want to get across? And also tomorrow and Tuesday, Jupiter stations and goes retrograde. So we've got 2 retrogrades happening this week. Mercury being the more profoundly effective on our day-to-day lives, but Jupiter going retrograde also just pulls a lot of attention because Jupiter has slowed down in the sky. So Jupiter in Cancer, very fortunate vibe. It's really about showing that you care in places where you want to see your fortune grow. Okay, so while we are in this mode of trying to express ourselves and maybe experiencing some interesting blockages or frustration or roadblocks or obstacles to that self-expression, there's also this idea that we want to kind of go big. With Jupiter being active on Tuesday, Jupiter goes retrograde, and then it trines Saturn. And at the same time, Neptune is sextiling Uranus. And these make things kind of smooth, that trine and that sextile energy. It makes things feel really possible. So Jupiter being involved in that, Jupiter going retrograde, it can feel like we can achieve a lot more, all at once, especially when it comes to that self-expression. It can feel like if I just say everything, if I just express myself in the most dramatic, over-the-top fashion, then perhaps I will have success. But the guidance with this, because things are so smooth and easy, and there is such a temptation to sort of overstate your purpose or overshare or make an excessive effort to get your point across, that you might show all your cards all up front and make less progress than you would make if you just pulled back that energy a little bit and put it into more of a long-term plan. Okay, so you don't have to say everything all at once this week. You don't have to get all of the information out. You don't have to make all of the plans. You definitely don't have to commit to any plans at this time. Okay, and just when you start to feel that overconfidence, or you start to feel like, oh, this is so much bigger than I thought it could be, and I can just really put this out there right now, and it will be it will land great with everybody, and it will make a big splash, and maybe it will make a big splash. But the guidance is to pull back on that a little bit, maybe not go so big with the self-expression right during the first days of this week. And realize that by not showing all your cards, there's more that you can accomplish in the long run. Okay, so reserve some of that spark and that drive to push a longer term goal at this time. And then on Wednesday, we have Mercury, which is retrograde, coming back to make another conjunction with Mars. And this is a place, Mercury retrograde, struggling to communicate, struggling to express ourselves, combined under pressure with Mars, which is our assertiveness, and it's in Sagittarius, so it can be pretty I want to say outgoing. I want to say assertive and aggressive. This is, words become action. This is the things that I'm thinking. Maybe I can better communicate if I take action. This is, I'm communicating the actions I'm about to take before I take them, because we don't want anybody to be surprised, okay? But we need to be very forthright. We want to be direct. We want to take initiative in the communications that we do need to have, to say what does need to be said. Remember, not saying more than needs to be said, just saying what does need to be said. and we might be a little bit more willing at this time to do some verbal battle. So if you meet somebody on Wednesday or around, or anytime this week, but around Wednesday, if you meet up with somebody this week who wants to fight, or they want to discuss, or they want to debate, that's very much in the air right now. And I would just be really choosy about the debates that I have right now. Again, you don't want to say more than you need to say, and we don't want to be acting on things that are unnecessary at this time. Okay, so don't let your sense of assertiveness, especially around the middle of the week, get in the way of your struggle to actually communicate well. All right. And then on Wednesday, the moon moves on into Virgo, and that's a good time. We're coming out of that moon in Leo self-expression vibration, more into a self-reflection vibration, where we want to settle down and assess the situation with our bodies, assess the situation with the material parts of our home and our home lives, and maybe start to sort things out a little bit for ourselves personally. Okay, so all this pulling back is not don't do anything. All of this saying, show some restraint, don't show all of your cards, pull in and accomplish more over time. All of that is really just so that we can be more effective over the long term. Nobody's trying to tell you to shut up. Nobody's trying to tell you not to go for what you need. It's just that this is a time of year to contract a little bit, to be a little bit conservative, to be a little bit careful with the moves that we're making. Remember, the sun is in Sagittarius. We want to be strategic, and we want to make moves that are authentic to our purpose. And then on Thursday is kind of a quiet day, and a lot can happen on a quiet day, because it's sort of like not so much noise, and we can watch the way things unfold. The moon is going to aspect Venus and Mars in a strugglesome sort of way on Thursday, so we might be feeling something about our relationships with other people. It can be a little bit intense. It can be somewhat it can be a little bit of friction between us and our close loved ones. But otherwise, it's a quiet day, so let's take it easy on ourselves so that we can take it easy on others. Jupiter is active again that day as well, because Jupiter is completing its trine to Saturn on Thursday. So things, again, might seem bigger than they are. It might seem like more is possible, like you can get more done, or it might seem more overwhelming, like there's nothing you could possibly do. Things might seem, either way, bigger than they really are this week in general. So try not to over-respond. Try not to respond at the scale of bigness that you think things are, because they look much bigger than they are. And really, all we have to do is put one little foot in front of the other. Take the next step, take the next step. Do what is in front of you, and then let go, and then do what is in front of you, okay? Friday, more of a message to show some restraint, to be a little bit reserved in the way that we communicate with people, in the way that we seek balance and fairness in our relationships. We just want to, say what needs to be said. Don't go overboard saying, all the things that you feel necessarily, but just to get the point across. And then on Saturday, the moon moves on into Libra, so we're looking for that balance still in our relationships and our lives. And as it moves into Libra, it will then trine Pluto in Aquarius. And that's a really cool, actually kind of relaxed vibe for integrating and reflecting how things are going for us so far. Okay, so look over the past few months especially, and really, if you get a chance on Saturday and you get to just relax and reflect and vibe with yourself a little bit, I think that's the key coming up this Saturday. Now, Saturday evening and into Sunday, there's some action between Mars and the Sun and Chiron that can be stirring up some pain and some discomfort. Okay, it's not a very happy internal landscape necessarily Saturday and Sunday evening. So be aware of that there might be some discomfort coming in, but remember that the discomfort, it's not to be avoided, it's not to be pushed away, it's not to be destroyed. The discomfort is really really just to be moved through, to feel that discomfort, to reflect on why you feel that discomfort, to be really honest with yourself, really authentic with yourself about, what is painful, what is uncomfortable about what it is that I'm feeling, because this is all around Chiron, so it's all around our healing. It's all around our healing of childhood wounds. And that's really coming to the forefront as Chiron gets to the end of Aries over the coming year. Also on Sunday, the Sun perfects its trine to Jupiter and enters that grand trine in water signs that we are dealing with all last week, all this week, I think in the coming week as well. So understand we've got this grand trine in water signs that involves Jupiter making things seem a lot bigger, especially emotionally bigger than they are, and that includes the Sun, wanting to do more, having bigger sort of goals and ambitions. That has a lot to do with it has a lot to do with Saturn and Neptune at the end of Pisces there, really showing us what needs to dissolve, what we have that is foundational, that is strong, that is structural, that is actually getting in the way of our progress, that what needs to be dissolved now before we move into next spring when when Neptune and Saturn move into Aries together, and we have a really whole new era of creation and structure coming about. So that is the astrology for this week. Next week, we will have the new moon in Scorpio on Wednesday, and that is the end of Samhain. So last week and all of this week, Samhain, that time of year when the veil is thin, when we welcome home our ancestors, when we welcome in the colder part of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. It really cooled off for us this week here in Missouri. So wherever you are, though, I just hope that this week that you will, take it easy on yourself, that you will go slow, try not to show all of your cards, try to show a little bit of restraint with that desire to express yourself, which doesn't mean don't express yourself. It just means find a little bit less of an overstated way to express yourself this week, okay? And really give yourself lots of time to feel the things that you're going to feel before you respond to the things you need to respond to, okay? That's definitely the playbook for this week. Okay, friends, so I hope that was helpful. That is the astrology for this week, starting today, Sunday the 9th, and going through the 16th Sunday next week. So take care of yourselves. Now I'm going to move on into a tarot card reading for the coming week. And usually I pull two cards, and usually I make up what those two cards are going to be about right about now. So that's what I'm doing as I sit here and shuffle these cards. I want to say the two really significant things about this week are Jupiter going retrograde and Mercury going retrograde, and not necessarily in that order, but those are the planets that are pulling the most attention. So this is about communication and planning and our ability to sort of get around and facilitate the things that we need. And it's also about the temptation to overdo things, the temptation to overindulge in things, or the temptation to go really big at a time when we're actually being called on by the other planets to practice some restraint, to pull in a little bit and be a little conservative with our actions, our words and actions. Okay, so yeah, Mercury retrograde is going to be the first card. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius can be really frustrating. And Sagittarian, Mercury in Sagittarius, very bluntly spoken, very honest, very straightforward. So retrograde, when we're trying to be straightforward and we're not getting our point across, that's even more frustrating. I can see some people especially, getting kind of angry trying to express themselves this week. So how are we going to approach Mercury being in retrograde in Sagittarius this week? Howl at the moon, friends. So I do want to say that, with this trip through Samhain, with this part of the year where we slip out of late summer, early fall into late fall, early winter, this becomes the time of the year where we are more guided by the moon than by the sun, because there's just more nighttime in our days than there is daytime in our days. So definitely pay attention to where the moon is and what the moon is doing. This week, the moon is waning, so we're reflecting and we're letting go. We're not trying to start new things. We're not trying to take on more responsibilities. This is the relax, reflect, and release end of the moon cycle. And also, you know, we've got the moon first in Cancer, so we're about our homes and our loved ones and our own experience. And then in Leo, about expressing ourselves. And then in Virgo, about being very particular about what we need. And then moving on into Libra, which is finding that balance in our relationships, okay? So those are the messages from the moon for this week. And this card comes out and says, let's pay attention to the moon this week. Let's follow what our bodies are telling us, what our intuition is telling us. There's a little bit of a deep dive. It might be a little bit of a journey. It might not be very easy to make this journey, but it is well worth the time, okay? So really reflect and focus on what it is that you're grateful for, what you have, and what you can start to shed from your life right now. I think that is good guidance for Mercury and Sagittarius retrograde this week. And then the other card that I'm going to draw is for Jupiter, because Jupiter goes retrograde in Cancer this week. Jupiter in Cancer, very, very auspicious sign. Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter does really well in Cancer, and it can really make things very fortunate for especially Cancerian people or people with strong Jupiter placements. So, you know, be looking out for that. It hasn't been at its best advantage so far, Jupiter in Cancer, and that's going to come about after the retrograde, as it moves on into the next, we'll see more of the benefit of that Jupiter in Cancer, like the good fortune, the making it rain, the money coming down. But Jupiter retrograde in Cancer just makes us feel a lot more, okay? Makes us feel a lot more on reflection, on thinking about how things have gone for us so far. Makes us feel a lot more in terms of like, where are those places in my life where I tried to put myself out there in the last year and somehow got knocked back? Or where are those places in my life where I tried to have a success and I didn't have quite the success that I thought I was going to have? That's something to be reflecting on at this time. So what is the card for handling Jupiter Cancer retrograde? Seven of Wands. Okay, so this is about defending higher ground. It can feel like a lot, okay? It can feel like a lot of demands on our time. It can feel like a lot of people want us to do a lot of things for them or get out of the way so that they can do them. It can feel like we have to stand here and sort of defend this high ground that we've accomplished. And we may choose to defend the high ground, but we may also choose to like sort of let others come in so that we can seek a different accomplishment at this time, okay? So there's a choice to be made there between stand and fight or move on to higher ground yet. But just be aware that it can feel like a lot coming at you. I really, you know, the way this person's holding up this bar, you know, it brings me back to that reminder to just be conservative with our bodies and with our ambitions this week, with our communication and our self-expression. Not that we, you know, we absolutely should be expressing ourselves, especially when the moon is in Leo, Monday through Wednesday. And we might have to express ourselves in a defensive way. And we want to be somewhat conservative, okay? We don't want to put it all out there. We don't want to show all of our cards, right? We don't want everybody to know everything that we're about at this time. We would just want to like say what needs to be said and make the moves that we need to make right now. Okay, so don't overdo it, friends. Don't overdo it. And listen to your body, listen to your heart and mind and intuition this week. If you try to take it easy on yourself and others, and if you try to listen to your body and your heart, you might be able to navigate this week pretty well. Okay, that is our tarot card reading for this week, friends. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Astro Insights. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click notifications so you see when we come on. I'm here at least every Sunday at 11 o'clock in the morning to do the week ahead in astrology and the tarot card reading. And then we do like to get on here on Thursdays for yes or no tarot. So look for us there as well. All right, friends. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you all have a great week. And I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.